What's been going on regarding my authorship? I have been travelling the length and breadth of Britain to promote the religion of self-enlightenment and the rivers. I've been doing book signings in Eastbourne, Canterbury and Aberdeen, which all went very successfully. I've also appeared on various radio stations and in various newspapers and magazines to promote the books. And I've also been invited to the London Book Fair and the Los Angeles Times Festival of Books. It's called The Rivers because there are rivers in in Cambridge and London. The book is based around Cambridge and London. Those are the hubs which the story revolves around. And it's also a metaphor for the rivers which flow between us and the rivers of romance which take us on all kinds of tumultuous journeys. There's also scenes involving the rivers Cam and the Thames within the book, and the daily life of people involved in the book seem to revolve around the rivers, both geographically and metaphorically, which surround us. For those of you wondering what The Rivers is about, the storyline focuses on a couple called Elizabeth Dalston and John Cross, who managed to maintain a rather fiery relationship in the modern world based between Cambridge and London. Surrounding them is a plethora of characters who don't quite achieve the apex of romance. Instead, some of them are heartbroken, some of them are lonely, and some of them are betrayed. And so it covers the full spectrum of romance in the modern world. And there are also subjects breached such as the global warming crisis and the problems we're facing with regard to ISIS and terrorism. And there is a lot of poetry involved as well. The cover is based upon the line, "Everything hurts and tonight the moon looks like a tear." This was a line I thought of while walking down Mill Road one night, coming back from a friend's. And essentially it's one line among many lines of poetry within the book. It doesn't necessarily represent 100% of the storyline because some of it is rather joyous. However, it does represent some of the more emotional aspects of the book, which can lead to heartbreak, which describe the paths people travail in terms of heartbreak and difficulties with romance, let's say. I'm currently writing a third book. It's called Unnamed. It's autobiographical and it features many, many, many one-liners from my life which either capture my attention or I think of myself. My favourite line from it so far is, "Can only the mad touch the stars?" And I think this represents something quite fundamental to all of my literature and musical output, and my struggles with mental health problems as well. I think there's a necessary component to success with regards to madness. I think you need to be slightly unhinged to break free of the shackles that surround us and hold us down. And I'd like to think that there's a positive aspect to madness as well, which allows us to explore the outer realms of human potential and the human experience without boundaries and without limitations, which both excites me and terrifies me in equal measure. Yeah, the Unnamed is coming along strongly. It's about 250 lines long now, and I want it to be about 1,000 lines long, so it's about a quarter of the way through. So hopefully I'll finish that in the next couple of years and you'll see it on a bookshelf near you soon. It's really interesting with regards to the character in my first book, named Carrick Aries, because I recently met someone called Carrick. It's not exactly the same name, but it is very similar, and he's taken it upon himself to really get behind the book and to see it as very much a part of his life at this point in time. The original character, Carrick, was based upon a landlord at the Granta pub. He doesn't know this, so I haven't seen him in years, and I've never actually had a full disclosure moment with him, but I basically was very, very surprised to hear him talk one day about how he listened to Pink Floyd on headphones and got a bit merry, let's say, when he was younger. And after such a boring, mundane existence up until that point, he seemed to change as a person when he told this story, and his eyes exploded like universes, and I realised at some point in time he'd been a completely different person, and that he'd changed over time, not in a very good way, if I was honest. I thought he'd been surrounded by limitations and rules and regulations and this kind of thing, as we all tend to be as we get older. I walked home that night. I just lived next door to the pub at the time, the Granta, and I thought to myself, he's the kind of person who's forgotten why he's here, and I really thought that book needed, that line needed a book written about it, because you need to explain then why he's forgotten, and how he remembers. That was the genesis of the religion of self-enlightenment. And there are various characters which influence the rivers, and various people around me who are very influential in general with regards to my work, and I'd like to thank them profusely for their contributions to my creative world. My books are available in Heifers, Waterstones across the country, and Blackwells across the country, and several independent bookshops. I can't remember them off the top of my head. They're also available on Amazon, and Barnes & Noble in America also has my books available through them. My sincerest thanks to everyone who has donated to my GoFundMe page, and to those of you who have supported my endeavours so far. Thank you to everyone who's contributed some of their time, their money, or their moral support to this endeavour.